Hey all, so my name's Tam, first time post of this channel, and I just thought I'd use this to go over the 28 collected book which I just received off Kickstarter literally 15 minutes ago. Haven't had a look at the book yet, literally just unwrapped it and put it on my desk, and a little introduction of who I am and what I'd like this channel to become in the future, and you know, any questions, whatever, feel free to ask. Now, me personally, I'm more of a Mordheim, Necromunda fantasy player, or old world. I do enjoy 40k. I do enjoy Horus Heresy. I'm a 40k. I play Custodes. 30k. I play Custodes and Blood Angels. Necromunda. I'm a Delac player, so I'm sure that tells you a lot about me. And then Mordheim. I enjoy my Undead the most, and then Witch Hunters after that. I host weekly sessions for Mordheim in my local club. So I'm a huge fan of anything grimdark and old school GW. So a brief introduction to 28. Now, 28 is essentially a series of free digital magazines, right? I'll put a link in the description, and they've got a bunch of guides on how to do painting, weathering, sculpting, some dioramas, basing, and terrain construction. Uh, Heavily supported by people who are fans of John Blanche, Ian Miller, and sort of people under their lineage. Um, there's quite a few interviews. Some of them are really, really, really informative and teach you quite a lot about the mindset that these guys have, and how they can produce the art that they do, even on the tabletop. Right, it covers all bases. Um, there's always an artist feature, so there's like a spotlight for an artist in the magazines, which I think is really important. But it's always about a deep dive, and that's what I really love. I love the fact that they deep dive into the artist, the mindset, the world of grimdark. Majority of the games that are covered are 40k, Necromunda, some independent indie games, but also Mordheim. So Mordheim was what led me there, and then 40k and Necromunda sort of kept me there, and then some indie games which would be interesting to have a look at. So let's see what's in this book. I'm just going to start off by saying I pretty much own any book John Blanche has ever released. I'm a huge fan, and Ian Miller also is a wonderful artist. So anything grimdark, this already speaks to me. But let's go through it together and just see what you guys think. Just a quick rundown of some pages, the quality, um, and I just thought anyone who's backed this on Kickstarter, what you can look forward to. So, what is 28? Obviously, what we just went over. So, just to quickly here, because I didn't actually mention the word, what you see in 28 today began almost 2 decades ago and is a subject of much stuffy debate, from the first Blanchitsu articles in Games Workshop's magazine White Dwarf, showcasing the artwork of John Blanche, and hobbyists who similarly modelled and painted miniatures in an unorthodox fashion. Um, that's another way to describe this magazine series. Very, very Blanchitsu. Um, so here's the artists and the team behind it. Christian Simonson, Vince, Bill Ford, Paul. Yeah, some huge names there. Okay, so actually just to quickly go back, I recognise someone. I just wanted to triple check something. Okay, couple of fins here. Yeah, cool. Right. So here's a quick rundown of the contents, and let's keep going. Artist focus. This is what I was talking about earlier. Let they even do essays. Um, so yeah, I mean, let me just turn down the brightness a little bit. There you go. Wow. So we kick off with John Blanche straight away and his Death Cultist, or one off. Absolutely beautiful. Artist whose name rings high and low amongst those engaged in the tabletop miniature community. I don't know about that take, guys. I think it can only ring high, but that's just my opinion. But as I say, I'm biased. I did announce that at the start. John chose the fantasy genre because of the freedom to explore ideas and the potential to depict the impossible. His view in that fantasy demands a high sophistication of technique and skill, a necessity to overstate the case. You have to make the impossible look real. Yeah, that is what painters do. It's an incredible skill set. So look, they've even done a recent interview talking about his retirement. God bless John. Great guy. Every interview I've ever seen him, he just always comes across like Such an incredible character. Wow, look at this. Okay. Like a gothic ship. Yep, nice. Some sort of priest here, maybe a navigator. Again, some sort of priest slash navigator. There goes some Blanchitsu models, so that's the example of Blanchitsu I was talking about earlier. Nicely painted terrain. Cracking board. Lots of varied texture. So, this is Trench Crusade. Any of you who have not looked at Trench Crusade, I highly recommend. It's, I think the artist is from Diablo 4. It's Thomas, the Finnish game designer who did Mordheim, and someone else who's really important who's also well known in the community. But yeah, this stuff is outstanding. Really fun to play. And if any of you played Mordheim, a lot of the rules link. They're just different names. There he is, the legend himself. I dream of Mordheim. Right, you can already tell how excited I am. Holy moly, look at these wonderful models. Yeah, this roots and the moss, fantastic. It's always incredible to me that these models are like 28 true scale miniatures, and how beautifully people can paint them. I've always struggled. I'm personally more of a 32mm painter. I do a lot of 3D printing nowadays, and I always increase the model size just so I can paint them a little bit easier. Look at this entrance into the city. I think this is the Old World Castle box set. A couple of statues added, and obviously all the bridge and etc. making the board. So here you have some sort of sewer system, underground system, really the underparts of Mordheim where you'd find lots of Skaven, or in this case some ghosts. And you can see here that this is kit bashed warband here. Sisters. There you go. Fantastic looking models. Cult of the Possessed. So sisters before, cultists now. Some poor Empire boys. Looks like Averland colours. Averland were quite close to everything dangerous and not fun outside of Chaos. They didn't have too much time around Chaos, but lots of orcs and vampire action. I think they go on with the dwarves though. Yeah, look at this. That's the goats team right there. I would go as far as to say that's the team of gods, and that's Thomas. He's the guy that did the rules for Mordheim and now Trench Crusade. He is a genius. Huge fan of Thomas. Yeah, wow. And just put it in perspective, you guys have obviously seen I've turned quite a few pages. We're just about a quarter of the way through. So there's a lot of stuff in this book. Miniature photography. So here you are getting coached on how to do miniature photography. Coloured paper, yeah, sepia sort of filter. Brilliant stuff. Storytelling in a miniature. Here we go. So this is what I think 28 does the best in the game. It's the storytelling. Obviously everything else I'm a huge fan of, but no one tells stories like the 28 series, in my opinion, when it comes to miniatures. They're just so good at it. His big head, that's funny. Empire in Flames, this was an expansion pack to Mordheim back in the day. The Assassin, the Crew, Dramatis Personae, the Watch. There we go, okay. Dig on up, here we go again. So, sounds like orcs, but they're like kit bashed humans. There goes an orc down here. Thomas Brown. Let's call it for what it is, a project. A love letter to fishermen. Gnarly, right? Just look at this wood effect. Yeah. Requiem for Pictum Mortis. So here, dedication. In 2019, word reached us that Cameron Cornelius, aka Pictum Mortis, had passed after a hard-fought battle with cancer. It was a great loss for the Inquisitor 28 community. What a model. Dark Elves, Drukhari. Oh, Black Templar. Here we go, guys. Just so much character. Oozes character. Some Horus Heresy Marines. 40k Primaris. Contemptor with the Modern Dreadnought. Oh, that is an outstanding kit bash. So you can see Ben here, Ben's work. So as I was saying, very in-depth on the actual artist. Wellington. Ian Miller. But it's not John, it's Ian, that's for sure. And if you haven't seen it, he has his own Kickstarter at the moment. Some of his art being turned into models. This is one of them. So I've already gone in and supported that bad boy. If I remember, I'll get that in the description as well, so anyone who's interested can take a look. But yeah, Ian is an absolute master at this as well. Sunhold, first tune, Spirit, Spectre the first. That is a terrifying model. Should recognise the pieces. So there's some tufts on there for hair. Looks like there's some cloth with texture paint. That is a bone hand from the Manfred / Neferata / Arcan kit. Very good. Mausoleum set over here. Out of production nowadays. Wasn't a huge fan of that set, but it's okay. NPCs. Call to the Spring. So Stormcast kit bashed. Yeah, wow, these are just incredible. Hondius, the Rot of Hondius. An Inquisitor 28 event. Okay, so this is an event specifically made for Inquisitor 28. So getting some artists together to put some lovely models together. Wax sealed envelopes, love that. Oof, it's a terrifying model. There you go, boys. Look at that, and girls. Incredible. That is just that Duke is the stuff of nightmares. So this is roll a d66 and consult the table below for conversion prompts. I've seen this before. This sort of gives you projects if you're just feeling a bit lost, where to start, or if you're feeling a bit tied up, or dried up, sorry, and you want just an idea. Will Thomas. Immature poets mimic mature poets' style. Yeah, nice. Very honest. Put Thanos in a suit of Terminator armor and you've basically got Horus. Brilliant. So just talking about the there's an essay into the Imperium's history. I assume it's all Imperium's greatest face heel, so I assume this is all the Great Betrayal. Folk Hammer. Some great models here. Very Knucklebone miniaturesque. Lovely Beastman. Also terrifying. Another warband here. Outstanding work here. Let me just turn the light back on. Bear with me guys, sorry. There we go. Just a little bit of light. The Dark Spaces, Dave Taylor. Dave, absolute genius, this man. So apart from Yakuza 28, I just want to highlight, he also has a range of books, Dave Taylor, that he's made with artists in their technique for painting miniatures. That also recently had a Kickstarter, and I think they're on the books up into the teens now. I've only got PDFs basically, just because I lack space. Because a lot of it is teaching people how to paint and what to paint, and refining those techniques. I tend to keep my space for actual sort of artist books like this, where the art is there for you to go through and use as references, etc. This art is just wow. The fish bird, that's very Mordheim. Also very Mordheim. Jacob Peterson. That is a kit bashed pighead. That is outstanding. Stilts are cool. Brilliant models. Now this is something I saw long ago, building the Golden Gate into Terra. Absolutely incredible. So Mikhail Van Leeuwen. You see here, all made from green stuff, then turned into that. What a genius. Annie Chambers. Pretty sure Annie Chambers is a book writer. Okay, it's another gaming event. Going through Age of Sigmar terrain. Again, out of production now. The Purple Hag Bunch. Amazing. Warband, very cool, very Slaneshi, sorry, Tzench vibes. Now that is a model. The Brass Balls of Bering Street. Amazing. Is that something out of Star Wars, that guy? Church of Sin, The Heretic's Grift. Finding a voice in wargaming. So this is an essay that looks like it's up my street. I think finding a voice in wargaming is a dying art nowadays, especially with all the flavour that I feel is slowly being eaten away in modern day models, outside of 3D printing anyway. So the generic companies, I don't believe they give you the ability to make them as unique as we used to, which I think is a shame. So this is definitely an essay I'll be reading later. A Darker Realm. Now that is impressive and extremely grimdark. So 207 pages in, just down here, and we're only slightly past the third, or into the third quarter now. Some lovely Bretonnian models. They've been very grimdarked up. This glare is a bit annoying, I do apologise. Right, Marcelo Riza. This is a sort of very late 80s, early 90s vibe, personally not a fan of this type of sculpt, but I've got a lot of friends who adore it. Samuel Allen. That's cool. Reminds me of the sea vampires. That's savage. Some witch hunters hanging some cultists here. Looks like a possessed here, or a mutant. Such incredible artwork. Nice. Look at that blood letters here. Wow. No good in there. Brilliant. Tattoo. Tribal. Got some of that myself. Very, very cool. Martin McCoy. The quality, can I just say, the quality of the book is outstanding. Really, really high grade paper. Nice. Juan Gomez Cabello. Well, that is some mean artwork, guys. Some mean artwork. Wow. So aside from the old school greats, right, John Blanche, etc., if I had, you know, the money to hire someone to do some artwork for me, this would be the person. This is incredible artwork. Trish, very good. That's a very cool tree. Nice. Very impressive. Troll, tree man. This and this, I'm sure, made by the same people. Trish, what was she called? I think she's like Monster Girl or something, isn't she? But she essentially crafted all of GW's monsters from the original line. Yeah, she's still at it. You can buy her stuff directly. I've seen her on Instagram. Tired. I have no connection to Blood Tide, so I'll have to read this to get into it. Darker Lens. Some Krieg boys. This is all very grimdark. Very, very grimdark. So what they're doing here is just making this have more of a connection with you. This is a modern day hallway, modern day tunnel. Yeah, so it's kind of putting you in the place of if 40k was in the now, in the here, which is quite a scary idea. Non-combat tabletop. Never heard of this either. I guess it's more the aesthetic behind it all. And here we are at the end. Not quite. Oh, this was a stretch goal, I think. Let me just put this all in the camera for you. So here you go. I'll fold out. Little poem here. It comes to me late at night, my fear, when I am at the edge of sleep and my mind won't stop, when every regret and mistake seems magnified. I think of the stars we have forgotten, lost, abandoned, but not destroyed, trillions upon trillions of souls, out in the dark, lost but not alone, and my skin turns cold as I think of the feast we have laid out and abandoned, innocent, defenseless human souls, so easily led astray. Emperor, forgive us. What malignant cancers are growing out there even now, fed on human faith and desperate suffering. We would never know. We, the administratum, blind, deaf and dumb. Libraries could be filled with data I've seen purged and have purged myself. Maps, records, entire histories, all burned to protect the Imperium and its fragile truth. But we have scattered through the void, uncounted, unwatched, and I know this will be our doom. Fragile hearts and minds turned homeward, full of poisons we have never known and could never name. Wow. Okay. Vestarian Dreams of the Pious. Very cool model. Loving that leather effect. Let me just put it that way. Here you guys can see that. Great texture. I hoped it was paint texture, that nicely one day. Nice. There's a lot of mythology in this book. A lot of mythology. Methodology. I can't even say the word. Methodology. There we go. Viseria. Del Bueno is very good. Again, not my kind of models, but impressive nonetheless with the atmosphere that he manages to achieve with his paint jobs. That looks like a Necron. I think these are Necrons. Yeah. It's very cool. Roberto. Nick. Zinch Demon, very cool. Giovanni. Wow. I will say, Stormcast, I am very impressed with the Italian scene. The Italian grimdark / Warhammer scene has always impressed me. Mike Francina. So he's worked for Blizzard, EA, and Runic Games. Chance Crusade. So this was the artist, I think that's his name then, Francina. I think he's the guy that did Diablo 4 art. Sultanate. That's the faction I like to play. The second Azeb. Yeah, it's a brilliant world, Trench Crusade, very grimdark. So here, all the contributors, artists, writers, journalists, etc. Thomas Pirinen, or Thomas Pirinen. Yeah, this guy, I think, yeah, he's on Instagram, Grim40k. He's incredible, really impressive artwork. So this is what the magazines look like before they've been put into this book. Yeah, huge fan. Very happy with this. Dave Taylor, once again, you've smashed it out the park. Anything you do, I'll support, mate. Any questions, just ask. Thanks for having a look with me.